All right, so there's the victim. Just checking on this one, making sure this is not 41V. To me, it looks like the 46V, but we're gonna make sure we're gonna double check it, because sometimes I've seen them pop up and be the 41V, but I think now they're making only the 46V in this vivid color. So let's check it real quick. And yes, it is the 46V. You guys see it right there. So we're good to go. We've got our spray out card that we did a while back. You guys know when I shot that Mazda, we went ahead and did a nice spray out on that, and hopefully the time we spent that day is going to pay off now as we're doing this one here. We're going to check the color, we'll go get our spray out card, we'll see what we got, and we'll shoot this one with you guys, because I know this is a very big color out there right now in the paint world. So let's do it. All right, so let's check it to the fender. We'll pull the fender outside, and we'll also check this to the fender on the vehicle. That way we can see how this bumper is going to match up to the other side. And so far, so good. And this here is a special. This is a 38 times this one was dealt with in the field. So let's bring it out there and check it to the actual car out in the sun and see what we're going to get for the panel match on the bumper to the fender. All right, so we've got our spray out card here in the sun, and I'm not real happy about it. It looks like it's going to be a different one. So you guys can see there that this is a lot lighter from the side tone. And we've got our 2 to 3 coats on this as the Kandy, and then we had our gray sealer. So I know that this is a dark enough sealer. It's not that problem. It's just this is a different variant for this here color. So first thing I'm going to do is go in a computer, do a little research, and then we'll come out here and we'll figure out what we're going to do. All right, so first thing what we'll do is we'll put in 46V. We didn't get lucky with that spray out card, and a lot of them are different based off of what vehicle you're shooting. So the last time we did the Miata, and the Miata's a different car, so that would be a lot different than some of the bigger SUVs. When that robot spraying that car, it's doing a lot different technique than it is when it's spraying that small Miata, so it could apply the Kandy differently. So what we'll do now is we'll put in our regular 46V, we'll get out our chips, and we'll start out there with this. I want to see what the chips look like for this color first, because I have had good luck with the camera on this color. So let's go ahead, get our chips, and take a look at them. All right, so we've got 2 chips now in the regular standard deck from PPG here for this color. We have the prime, which is on the top, and then we have a lighter angle darker, and right away I can see that that angle darker chip looks very, very good. So a lot of guys would take this chip now and they would run with it and try to paint this here. The next step that I'm going to do is shoot this with the camera, because I want to see if that camera is going to pick this chip. That's going to let me know that this chip is very close to this here fender if it actually picks the chip. If it doesn't pick this chip, then we got to do some more double checking. So let's go get the camera, we'll polish this up, we'll take a reading of it, and we'll see what we get. All right, so first thing we're going to do is polish up this here fender. That way we can get a good reading with the actual camera. So I hit it with a little bit of polish, no compound. That way if there's any towel marks with scratches from that, it will pick that up and kind of help not pick the right color for the actual variant. So we've got it polished up, and then we will hit it with our camera. So this is a very good camera system, and I have had a lot of good luck here. What I want to do now is shoot it, and I want to see where it actually picked up that color in our actual rating. So sometimes I'll do this because I'll know if it picks this one, at least in the first 5 ratings, I'll know that the camera's actually seeing it good, which will let me know that this is going to be almost exactly like this chip looks, because a lot of times with these 3 stages, the chips will look differently once you spray them. So this will get you more of a chance of having a good match on it. So we'll just do our normal camera shot on it, and this one takes 5 shots of the color. It'll take the face, the flop, and it looks at the metallic size and different stuff like that. So it likes 5 readings. You got to make sure you hold it still, otherwise it'll have a problem and you'll have to retake the shot. So keep it steady. But this is a good system, and I'll show you guys why. You guys can see the chip. Once it puts it in the computer, you'll be able to see the actual card and what variant it picks for it. All right, now you'll save it in the computer. Make sure you hit save. That way it logs it in here and it's saved up. So we'll take it over now and we'll check it to the actual computer, plug it in, and get it dialed in. All right, now we'll plug it in. It has 2 plugs right here on the inside, one for power and then there's another port here for it to transfer the data into the actual unit. So you put it back in here, you plug it in, and then you just go up to the area where it says rapid match. You guys will see there the rapid match. You'll go ahead and hit rapid match. It'll show it logging into the computer up there at the top, and then you'll see the red one come up. There's the 46V, the shot we just did. So you can put in either the code right here, you could just let it run wild, and we're gonna go with the 46V because there's really no other colors out there like it with that fine aluminum base coat. So let's go ahead and hit 46V, hit search, and see what we get on it. So it's kind of funny, the first one it picked was the lighter angle darker. So that chip definitely is a very good match for that color there. It's not picking up that good of a reading on it. You still see it has the caution, and I think that has a lot to do with the amount of coats that you'll use on it. So here's the actual camera shot. Here's what they have that we can mix. That's the lighter angle darker chip. And now we'll turn it, we'll look at it on the flop, we'll see it this way and that way, and it definitely has a dark flop on it. So we'll go with this one. We'll make sure we get our sealer right, and we'll make sure we put the right amount of coats, and we'll spray a card that we have this for next time when we get into one of these Mazda SUVs. All right, so now that we have our color verified, where we're gonna actually start out with, we're gonna go ahead and get these things prepped out. We've got a fender that is new, which is the blend. You guys seen that here? So this won't be nothing to hit. We'll hit this with a 400, probably finish it in 6, and then hit this with 800 and hit our edges with a sky pad. That way it's nice and prepped out good. And then we have ourselves here a raw cover. So this one we'll hit with our gray scuff pad, do our fine line around the bottom. That way it's masked up. Make sure you get your time for your fine line as well on this one as your raw prep time on it. So we'll go ahead and get these prepped out. We'll get in the booth, and then we'll shoot this one. We'll spray a card. That way we have it for the next one. Hopefully this time we'll be able to use it, and this will come in handy if we're ever doing any more of the SUVs. So like I said before, a lot of times each car style will be a little bit different in the variants, because when that machine is spraying these, it's spraying it differently than it would be a smaller car, a bigger car. So each car is going to be a little bit different, and that's why they have so many variances also for the 46V. So let's go ahead and get this thing prepped out and in the booth. All right, so we've got the fender now prepped. We'll go over it a little bit more with a gray, but I wanted to show you guys this here. When I'm doing a fender like this and I'm only doing one side, I make sure that I mask this off, because under the hoods of these are a different color. They're more of the base coat without the candy on them. So if you scratch that up and then you put paint on this and you get it too dark, once they put this fender back on the vehicle, it's not gonna match when the hood is opened up. So make sure you take that into account when you're doing these. I always match the color underneath. That way it looks OE when it's done. So let's get this in there. We'll scuff the bumper down and we'll be ready to roll. All right, so we've got our parts now in here. Everything is prepped, ready to go. We're gonna wipe them down. This one here we'll hit with a prep salt and then a waterborne cleaner. And then this here being a raw bumper, we'll go ahead and hit it with our alcohol. So we've got our fine line on it. I made sure I put tape around here on these bends. Put a little tape right here on the bends here, maybe up here and here and here, to keep it from curling up once this thing gets a little bit warm. So I wanted to show you the top edge of the fender here, how we have it masked off. That way we do not bother this factory cut in on this one. So we've got our fold tape on it. You guys know I like the fold tape, and that is gonna give it just enough room for that paint to give a nice clean edge on this one. So let's go ahead and wipe it down. All right, so now that we have everything cleaned with the appropriate cleaners for our raw plastic as well as our metal blend panel here, we're gonna go ahead and get the booth turned on. So the first thing we'll do is turn on the booth, let it run a little bit, and then we'll start to blow off our parts. So what I do is I blow them off with my hand. You guys have seen that before. Before I start cleaning these, I wash my hands, and then I go in and I make sure that everything is blown and tacked well. That way, I can feel the panel and to see if there's any dirt, dust, or maybe areas that would have to be sanded a little bit better. So once I blow and tack it, then I let the booth settle and I come in for my final tack, and I do not blow my final tack off. I just come in with a nice new crystal tack rag, hit it lightly, go around all my panels, and then I move into my actual application of the paint. So we're gonna turn the booth on, get them blown and tacked, and then we're gonna get into our sealer, and then we're gonna spray our card. That way we have this for next time, and we're able to check this color before we finish the job up. So let's do it. All right, so we've got the sealer on there now. We'll go ahead and mix up our ground coat, and then we'll put that on the card. You guys know how I showed you to do the spray out cards. We'll do that the same way on this one, and that way we know what sealer we use for the next time we do this color. All right, so I'm gonna sit down here a minute in my nice spot here because it's beautiful out down here in Florida right now. It cooled off and the heat isn't so extreme. So we're gonna let those 2 coats of base go ahead and set up, and then we're gonna go in there with our control coat. And the one good thing about the 46V is it actually does have good coverage on the ground coat. So once we get the ground coat on, we'll be moving into the Kandy, and that is the true dye in the clear coat. That's what gets that color to look the way it needs to. It has the depth over the top of the base coat. A lot of the base coat Kandys are a lot thinner because they don't have the mills that the clear does. That's why PPG puts that actual Kandy in the clear coat, and then we hit it again with another urethane clear. So we're gonna take a minute break. We're gonna go back in, we'll hit it with our control coat, and then we'll be Kandy in it. All right, so now we have all our base coat on the actual parts. We did 2 coats and we did our control coat. And our control coat is our final coat where we turn our pressure down, we back off the panel, and we dust it to get a nice even orientation of the metallics. So Now that we've got that handled, we're gonna be moving into our candy. And I wanted to show you guys this here, how I have this bumper on the rack. So I have this the same way it'll be on the vehicle because I wanna apply my candy just like I'm gonna be applying it onto this here fender. So a lot of times I like to have my bumper standing straight up. That's the way that I'm used to spraying them now. But when I'm doing these candies, I try to make it exactly the way it's gonna line up to the actual parts that it's gonna be meeting up to. So a lot of times that is the key to getting a nice match when you're doing these candy jobs. So I've learned that a lot back in the day when I was doing a lot of street bikes for guys, and you'd paint all the parts on stands and then you put them on there and you wouldn't have a good match because you sprayed each panel differently and you didn't take into consideration the way that that panel was gonna meet up with the next one. So that's why you see these stands now that they make for the street bikes that'll hold everything the same way that that actual bike is gonna be put together. That way you get everything matching up nice once you bolt it together. So we're gonna do the same thing on this. So let's go ahead and get our car dialed in. That way we can finish up these parts. All right, so we've got our spray out card now out here by the vehicle. And when I was looking at the card in the booth, I brought the old spray out card that I had that we did determine that was lighter on the flop. I checked it in there and I decided to put 3 coats of the candy on this one. So we're over here now and we're gonna be checking this one to the car. And you can see there that it has that darker side tone on it that we were looking for with it. So I wanna bring out the chip now. And you guys will see here, this is the original spray out. You guys can see now that that has a lot lighter of a side tone on it than the original one. So that's what we were looking for with this here spray out. But I want to do one thing that I like to do sometimes is to bring my regular chip out and check it to the actual spray out card and see what it looks like. So it definitely looks very, very close to that spray out. So I like to do that. That way next time, if I'm in a bind, I can grab this chip and I can actually know that this chip matches a spray out card. So what I would do is now I'd put 3 coats of the candy on the back of this chip. That way next time I know that this chip is a 3 coat match to a real spray out card, and that'll save you guys a lot of time. So on your 3 stages, your pearl whites or your candies, you can bring your chips out, and when you get a spray out that actually does match, like this one here does, put 3 coats, the same amount of coats that you put on your card on the back of this. That way next time you get a little bit quicker if you don't have time to do a spray out card, so you'll know that this is a verified color. So let's get back in there, put our candy on, and get this thing wrapped up. All right, so that's 1 coat of the candy, and in this particular job, being a smaller job, I mixed up the Speed Clear and the 2021 together 50-50. That way I can move through this job quicker because I don't have to worry too much about walking this one out and really laying this out nice and evenly, being it's just a fender and a bumper. So this one here is a quicker job, so I went ahead and mixed the Speed Clear in it. That way we can get in and out on this one. But make sure with you guys at home or at the shops, take time in between coats based off of your temperature and your environment. So if you're normally spraying your clear coat with like a 10 to 15 minute window in between coats to get a nice job, do the same for the candy, and then make sure you take a little bit longer when you get into your clear, because now you're gonna have more clear on there, being that this is an actual clear coat. So let's go ahead and put our 2 more coats of the candy on and get this thing finished up. All right, so that's the Kandy now, and then you've seen me put 1 coat of clear just on the back of the blend of the fender. That's to level off the Kandy, being that I already put 3 coats of Kandy on. I want to kind of bridge that back in now. So we put 1 on the back end, and then we're going to come back in now, and we're going to put 2 more coats of clear over the whole job. That way it has the right UV protection over the Kandy. So that's what you see in there now, just 1 coat on the back edge and just the Kandy on it. And now we'll put 2 coats of clear, and I'll show it to you guys finished up. All right, so the job came out nice, and one thing I want to make sure that I let you guys know is I told you guys that I did a cocktail of the speed clear and then my normal 2021 clear. If you do that, make sure you follow through with that on the actual clear coat. You do not want to change up and go with a full slow on clear over the top of that speed clear, because you could have some dieback or even solvent pop. So if you do a cocktail on your Kandy, make sure you do the same thing on the outside top coat clear. That way it's the same thing breathing out the same way that the bottom is, and you won't have any issues with it. So I hope you guys like this one. I hope you got something out of it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.